and with a little sign that says, we are live from the hill country. Yeah. Let's see what is happening here. We're having trouble streaming to your destination. This can also, I think we'll keep trying to let you know if it's resolved. Oh, well, can you see me? Are you guys tuned in? And I'm streaming? Huh? We're not streaming? We're good? All right, we're good. Cool. Now, I don't know. Here we go. Let's remove this. Remove this destination. Yes, we'll remove that. Okay. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. This is the 5th time we've done this live broadcast of the Friday FARcast here from the Hill Country. And as usual, we will have our esteemed guests at our event this year who will be our guests on the show. It's always a great pleasure for me to do this because I get to learn a lot more about each and every one of you. And you get to see some of the people whose chat names you'll recognize. And so I guarantee you, I've been scoping everybody out. I've got my victims, right? So it's going to be a good one. No, really, seriously. We have such a great group this year. And I say that every year. And I'm not, building it up because this is what we do. We're just blessed to have a great group every year. And that's just the way it is. So anyway, welcome to the Friday the 13th version of the Friday FARcast. And it feels like we're really on the edge or the precipice of something here. And that's what we've been kind of talking about a little bit this morning. Although early on, we got to know each other a bit more, and which is always a cool thing to do. So I'm wishing everybody out there in the digital world a happy Friday the 13th. Has anybody here ever experienced Friday the 13th as being negative? Just raise your hands. We got one. Mom, I know you. Yeah. We got two people. We got August and back. Okay, I have never experienced a negative Friday the 13th, just for my experience, right? So the reason why, and I think you guys know because you're all switched on, the reason why it has become a fated day was because I believe the year was 1307 when the Knights Templar were slaughtered on Friday the 13th in October in the south of France, right? So when that happened, they killed their leader, Jacques de Molay, who became sort of the patron saint of Freemasonry. And so it's after that slaughter in the south of France where they eventually go to the north of Scotland and they have the church that they start in Scotland. And that's where I believe the Blue Lodge of Freemasonry has its roots, right? So it all starts on Friday the 13th. And I don't necessarily believe it's a cursed day, unless, of course, you're a Knights Templar or a Freemason. And maybe not in this lifetime for me, but maybe some other time. But I don't feel it to be a negative experience at all. If anything, what it does is it does bring our attention, our awareness to a certain time in history. And when you get into the Knights Templar and understand who they were and what they were doing, well, it's very enlightening because they were one of the first groups to start usury because they would charge people money, right? If you were going from the south of France to Paris, right, you didn't want to carry your money with you because you could get hijacked on the highway. So what you would do is you would pay them a fee so that you could exchange a note in Paris for the money that you would be giving, say, in the south of France. So they were making money off the percentage of those transactions. Not only that, but they're very closely tied with some very interesting back and forth with the Vatican in terms of what might or might have happened with, Mary and the royal family, not the royal family, the royal bloodline of the line of David, line of Jesus, right? There's all that goes on. So it's a very interesting historical perspective. The other thing that isn't often talked about with the Knights Templar is that region of France was more Gnostic than it was say, Catholic. So we have the Cathars that come out of that region. So it's a very interesting part of our history. But what we get out of it is this doomsday, Friday the 13th. Now, for all you people in the room that kind of know what's going on astrologically, and the people that are out there or in there that know what's going on, Mars has just gone into Scorpio, right? So it's a really interesting day from a symbolic perspective. We've just come out of this Mars and Libra period, which was the most intense, edgy, kind of vendetta-driven period I've seen in a long time. And it really gave us kind of an up-close and personal view of Mars and Libra, right? Like the astrology was really happening. And, it sort of culminated when Mars was on the South Node, and whatever happened in Israel and Gaza and Palestine was sort of the apex of that Mars-South Node conjunction. So now we go deeper. We go deeper into the journey with Mars and Scorpio, and people want to know what's going on beneath the surface of things, right? That's what Scorpio does. And Mars is warrior energy. So we are being now moved into this deeper dive into what's going on behind the scenes. And for a lot of people, that brings up a lot of issues, right? It's like, well, what happens if I go too deep? What happens if I find answers to the questions and I don't like those answers? This is kind of where we are now anyway. But this is how Mars and Scorpio works, right? We are now compelled and driven to get to the bottom of things. My biggest concern, and I talked about this, I believe, yesterday on the Astro Weather, is the Mars-Pluto square that's going on right now. And it kind of feeds into this narrative that, that there's this vendetta, this global jihad that's going to happen today. Well, we're going to hold the space and nothing happens, right? We're going to hold that space. And if something does happen with Mars and Scorpio, we'll get to the bottom of it. We'll figure it out, right? Because I think we're all committed to some version of the truth, whatever that is. And we may have different fractals of what the truth is. But one thing we can agree upon is the commitment to it, right? So that in and of itself is what binds us and unites us. So why don't we shift gears a little bit here and get into some of the beautiful people in this audience. What do you guys think? You ready for that? I got to warm things up just a little bit. I got to bring in a ringer. Come on, Donna. Come on, Donna. You got to get this seat warm for everybody else.
No one has to be afraid, right?
Here's
what happened to this eclipse here.
Oh, it's still there. It's just maybe, look at that. You're sitting right in the center of the eclipse.
Ooh.
So for everybody in here, this is Donna.
Hi.
And this is your 5th year here, right?
5th year, I've become a groupie.
Now, we were doing these introductions and I'm listening to you and I'm like, you're just a slight refinement and a script writer away from being a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Rod says I remind him of Roseanne Arnold.
Well, I think you're a better version of Roseanne because you're here and she's not.
True.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you regaled us with some humor today. How you doing?
I'm good. This whole Palestinian Israel thing.
Yes.
I don't know, but I'm sure all of y'all, we're not in the heat of this. We're not in the midst of it. And a lot of us aren't affected by it, really. But I think we are energetically, because I was so bummed. Last Saturday, I just felt so down. And that's unusual. Heaviness. It was just a heaviness. And, I just had to pray for those people. And, the thing is that, whatever faith you come from, one of the things, I came out of a Southern Baptist background, and, and in the Bible, it says, where 2 or more are gathered in my name, right? There will I be in the midst of them. So I think with all of us here this weekend, it's crucial And I think we're powerful. And I think that we're gathered here and we'll bring our energy to this.
Yep.
And we'll focus it and send it out there and say, you know, I don't know what the answer is. I don't, you know, there's so much. We don't know anything, you know. Anybody who thinks they know anything, they're stupid. Because they don't know. You can't possibly know all the different dynamics going on behind each side of this.
It's deep, right?
It's deep, and it's you know, it's long lasting, and there's so much to it. But you know, coming from my Judeo-Christian roots and stuff like that, you know, part of it I left in a sense behind because it didn't make sense to me. You know, God is love. You know, all the George Carlin skit stuff, God is love, but you know, go kill these people and, you know, do this and do that. And God hates this and God hates that. All this stuff. It just didn't mesh. It just didn't mesh. But, you know, the bottom line is, I think if there's a war, it should be against the ones who are making people want to kill other people. You know, it's like, stop that.
Dr. Shiva would agree with that.
You know, we're so easily manipulated. I hate that.
Why
are we so easily manipulated?
It's amazing how quickly people just started. It was Pavlovian.
It really was.
It was just like ringing this bell, you know, go find your side, go find your issue,
right?
Go find your talking point and be hijacked by the emotion.
Right. And God forbid you go, oh, you know, we're for peace, or, you know, both sides need to come together and they're like, you're so naive to say such a thing. You don't know what the Israelis have done to the Palestinians. Palestinians, you know, have done these horrible things to the Israelis. It's just, you know, it's like, remember when the Irish were having that, what is it, PLO, all that stuff going on in Ireland, and it was IRA, yeah, that one. Yeah, that. When, you know, it's like somebody had been killed, you know, and so then they had a vendetta against the other group just because. And so how do they get to the point where you let that go, that you can let that go when so many atrocities have been committed on both sides? How do you find that level playing ground? And I don't think that the powers that be want them to find that right now.
I think the real difficult part, because when you really dive down into that dynamic, you're not always sure who is who, right? Like there clearly, when you get into the IRA, there were English roots in the IRA, right? You had like MI6, and there was an investment in keeping the conflict alive.
Isn't that the same thing?
It's the same thing. So you have these players that are deeply enmeshed, and you don't know whose side they're on.
Right.
And so their investment is to keep the conflict and the strife alive for whatever reason. The military-industrial complex, the UN. Now we're into a much bigger game where it's like, well, if the entire world feels the seismic effects of a global conflict, well, they could have a global solution, right? And not everybody's on board with what that global solution would look like. So every time we go through this now, it seems like it gets dialed up more and more and more. Right. And this is where we are now. We're really on the precipice of an international situation deeply affecting a local reality.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't always agree with the international solution or what's taking place in the theater. Right. And a lot of us have become very cynical about how these events unfold. Right. We've since 1963, we still haven't figured out who killed Kennedy, theoretically, right?
Right.
In 2001, there's still a lot of loose ends with the World Trade Center. Yeah, and we've just gone through a very heavy period with COVID, and how many people lied their fucking ass off with COVID, right? And we're supposed to trust everything now? They've done a really good job at making or helping us become a bit more cynical and a bit more evidence-based. So to that end, I'm grateful, right? But there's a reason why we are where we are now. Right. And it's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. But for those of us who do think independently, we want to see more evidence come through, right? We want to see real evidence, real facts. We don't want to see the same thing hashed out over and over again. Right. And I think that's on our side.
Right.
Yeah.
But the whole cognitive dissonance thing, some people can't comprehend or conceive of the government who's supposed to be taking care of us, right? Who care about us so much that they could be behind anything, what government, NGOs, whatever. Hey, by the way, Brett Weinstein, you're not really big on him, huh?
Not really.
I love him.
Good.
I love you, Brett. I
Good.
know you're not listening, but you know what? He had an interview the other day with an Israeli reporter who used to be in the IDF.
Right.
And they were talking about this whole thing that went down. And, Brett he really touched my heart, because at one point when he was talking about Menachem Begin's assassination, he was so verklempt, whatever the word is, about that. But they were really getting into the whole, and he's Jewish. And so, but he was really looking at it from another perspective of why is all this stuff going down? The questions, why did the Iron Dome, was it hacked? All those things, was it on purpose?
Brett Weinstein's getting red pilled a little bit.
He's been being red pilled.
Good.
You should really listen.
Good.
He's
All
really a good guy.
All right, good.
I don't know that for a fact, but that's what my gut is telling me.
Okay, good.
I like him.
Good.
But so, so that I don't monopolize this, I just want to say that, everything that's happening to us all, basically, the only thing that we can control in our lives is what we do in our own lives, right? How we are with each other.
Yeah.
God, if we could just
treat each other better,
get
right?
together,
Yeah, treat each other better. I'm with you. Thank you, Donna. Donna always delivers. I'm telling you. You should get a manager, though, for the stand-up comedy thing. Seriously. Janine, why don't you come up here? Come on, Janine. Let's go. Now, you may think that I brought her up here just for her hairstyle, but that's not true. Janine, tell people who you are in chat.
I am PMS. Oh,
So how you doing?
you know what? I'm fabulous and wonderful.
Good. You're having an experience here already.
I know. It's wonderful.
That's a good thing, right?
It is a very good thing.
So you traveled out here with our Miss Blackpill.
Oh my God, isn't she wonderful?
She is a
You
good trick.
primo girls and boys, honey.
They're going to get to meet her.
She's wonderful.
So give us some highlights of your journey across the states.
First of all, the truckers and the then we made a decision to drive at night. That wasn't good. But overall, our conversation has just been deep and wonderful, because we both decided we don't like shallow, never did. and it's been a journey. We've never met. We've just been on the phone. And Tom, my lovely, sweet glue man, where are you? Tom, he suggested that we travel together, and he hooked us up, and it was we were both just like, I was game for having a driving partner, and she drove to where I live in Arizona, and we left there, and what a wonderful journey. I have a little bitty tiny car, and we had to readjust some things. We had to make some room, and I learned how to pack very little.
Good.
That's necessary.
Traveling light is supposedly a good thing.
It is a very good thing. It is
Yeah.
a very good thing. And so that's where we started. And then we just got to know each other, and I learned about human design. And I had no clue how important it is.
It's a really solid operating system.
It is. And we learned about each other, and we both have rabbits.
Oh, that's interesting.
We both raise rabbits.
That's
and she got to
interesting.
meet my rabbits.
Wow.
And I
Do you
have
eat your
dogs.
rabbits?
I do breed them for meat, but
Right.
not recently. A couple years ago,
Right.
but not yet, not for a while. But I do have rabbits in the freezer.
You got to have a couple rabbits in the freezer. So
Yeah.
at any point, did you have a fantasy along the way of robbing a 7-Eleven or something like that?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
No, no, maybe the Louvre.
The Louvre. That's a little off your path.
Yes. That's why, it would never happen.
So tell people what you do in your 9-to-5 life. Like what keeps you in the game?
I'm a paralegal by trade. And I manage a lawsuit of 427 people that's based out of San Antonio. And my work that pays me, I build trusts and estates and do estate planning for people.
Beautiful.
And I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I love serving people, and I'm a warrior, and I fight for the underdog.
Amen. Good.
Yeah. And there's somebody out there that has to do that, and I was given the gift to be able to serve, and I always work with in the highest and best good of all people in their highest and best interest. And that's kind of how I roll.
Good. All right. So final thoughts about this group and where you are.
Oh my gosh, we're family. And I know we don't know each other very well, but we know each other. And this is like, for me, the first time I've gotten to meet all of you. And I know I don't participate a lot in chat, but I do read everything. And I'm so glad to be here, because anybody that can sit total strangers and share each other's food.
That was going on last night,
It's
right?
a beautiful thing. Oh,
Now, was
yes.
anybody feeding each other? Because that's all next level.
You know, we were working on it, but it didn't happen, I don't think.
Couple more
Maybe
beers in and you would have been there.
Yes, exactly.
I love
That
it.
would have happened.
I love it. That's
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Thanks for doing
We're
this.
glad you're here.
I
Thank you.
am so, it's just wonderful to be here, Robert, and
Yeah.
thank you for putting this
Yeah,
on.
you're welcome.
Yes.
Janine. All right, that's Thelma. We need Louise. Ladies and gentlemen, Cremo.
I was thinking she's my Thelma. it's
You're-
my
yeah, that's why I
Louisa.
asked.
She's Louisa.
I got it backwards. You're Thelma.
I think I'm Thelma.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have any thoughts of robbing a 7-Eleven along the way?
No, but I knew exactly what you were talking about when you said it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Wow, you're here.
Took 5.
Yeah.
5th was a charm.
Yeah. So what's it like being here?
Magical, but intense.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of us are crying.
I know, right?
And a lot of us
It's
are happy.
but it's in a good way, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's profound actually.
Yeah. So give me a story about your travel across country. Anything stand out?
Oh God, Tucson's gorgeous. I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my voice goes like this. Sorry, I got to work on that.
You can lead into the mic.
I'm not
too
a
little bit.
manifest. I'm not a manifester like Janine.
Janine's a manifester?
Yes.
Oh yeah, powerful. Yeah.
Yes.
You're a projector, right?
Yes.
And which one are you? What are you?
Emotional.
Emotional projector. Yeah.
Yeah, my spleen is completely open,
Uh-huh.
and you're invading it right now.
I'm invading your spleen. How's that feel?
I'm much more powerful next to you.
Good. All right. You can borrow my spleen for a while.
Okay. there you go.
What's that?
Oh.
Yeah. So you got to
Okay,
lean a
I'll
little bit.
try her.
Okay. So you also raise rabbits, but you're more serious about the rabbit thing, right?
Well, she's a pro, been doing it a long time. I just picked it up 3 years ago and learned YouTube videos and figured it out. And now it changes you. I mean, I was in like Susan was saying about being consumers. I wanted to be a producer, so how do I become a producer?
Right.
And so I figured out what I could do in my space and made it happen.
So was the first rabbit kill tough? Was that a hard one?
Extremely.
Yeah.
It still is. Each one is.
Yeah.
You take it seriously. You don't, and that's important. As a consumer, you don't actually understand it. You're removed from
the whole process.
sacrifice, and you're really not understanding what you're doing.
Yeah.
But when you're responsible for every level of it, it's very different.
Right.
So, yeah, and I know we have vegans in the room, and God love you. And I was a vegetarian most of my life, but yeah, I work with dogs, and dogs aren't vegetarian.
Right.
So I appreciate them, and I want to support dog experience in my life, and I want to be that value in a community that I can give for what's coming. I
Good.
really think that's coming. Sorry.
Well, that's a tough job, right? I mean, that kind of qualifies you on a certain level.
Yeah.
Like you're the
I hope so.
you're the person that can.
It's still not valued. I mean, I have one neighbor who digs on it, and the rest are like, what is she doing?
Well, hang in there long enough, and
She's
they'll be
crazy.
coming to your door.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. Who knows? Like you're saying, all the serious seriousness in the world, I don't know. I don't even tap into it anymore.
Yeah.
It's that regional, the local. And if you're taking care of that, none of it else matters. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's all joke. It's all an illusion.
A lot of it is, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it.
I think so.
Yeah. What about today? Today doesn't feel like an illusion, though. doesn't
No,
it?
there's powerful energies around.
Yeah.
But we're on these cycles, right?
Right. And we're in a very interesting cycle.
we're in a very end of
That's
many
right.
cycles. I think.
Absolutely. So your mother thinks I'm the devil.
That's right.
Yeah. True. Don't you have a brother too? Doesn't he think I'm the devil too?
He's schizophrenic. He doesn't think much.
Okay. So why does your mother think I'm the devil?
Well, it's astrology.
Astrology.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just a basic fundamental
Absolutely.
violation.
She doesn't know you for Adam. No.
Right. What's that?
Stalin.
What?
Stalin?
Stoned?
Oh,
Where's Chris? Chris, can you help out with that? Thanks. We got it covered. All right. What else do you want to share to the?
well, do I look like a black pill?
You know,
I know I've gotten that.
there's
reputation, but-
like virtual you and there's real you.
Well, that's me too.
Yeah.
It's WYSIWYG. I don't identify with that Gemini. It's me always.
Right.
But it's always done with love, even when I'm attacking you.
Yeah. Even when you're getting into a chat brawl with Michael's sister Nino, it's all
Oh
good.
yeah, boy, Michael and I had a little trouble there.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the queen of the absurd comments apparently,
Right.
which is fine. Bring it on.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I didn't think they were absurd. But hey, what you want?
Well, the beautiful thing is we can agree to disagree,
Yes,
right?
and that's very healthy.
And if he was here today, you guys would be getting along.
I think so.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And yeah.
well, thanks for coming up here.
Okay. And remember that black pill, that first red pill you took looked like a black pill at first.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
just remember that.
Okay. I'm not sure it took any pill, but I'll remember the red pill and the black pill.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks,
I love
Christine.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Let's get a little testosterone up here. How about David? Come on up here, David. David Hawk. Good to see you, my man.
Good to see you.
So we have Mr. David Hawk here. It's his second year at the event.
Yep.
And David came through Shauna, who you're going to meet in a minute or two. And you and I started to, I think I did a reading for you,
Yeah.
right? And then you got really interested in astrology.
Yep. It was a steady progression. I think I met Shauna around the time I was getting into astrology.
Yeah.
And then it started ramping up more and more. And finally, about a year and a half ago, I decided to just dive on in.
Right.
Really, stop getting readings from other people and do readings for myself.
Yeah.
And then do readings for others
Yeah.
on down the line.
Yeah. So what was that moment you said, like, okay, I think I can do this? Like, when did that happen?
I don't know if it's come yet, but no, I
That's a good approach.
I mean, it was really about last year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm a little bit of a dilettante. Like I get into a lot of different things.
Yeah.
A little bit here, a little bit there, and I've decided I really need to just commit and become a little bit more masterful at something that I'm passionate about.
Right. Yeah. I've been noticing more and more men are getting into astrology now. I'm getting, we're going to meet Professor Longo here later on. And I've had a lot of dudes come through that portal who are interested in astrology, learning about astrology. Right? It's a really interesting shift. And I feel like it's part of this kind of Renaissance component that men should have theoretically, right? Be able to do all these different things,
Right.
whether it's build a cabinet or, read the stars or, change an oil filter or hunt for something or figure out like what herb is, a proper solution to a certain condition. And I feel like as men, we've gotten like super concentrated and put into box and you're just this, right? And there's nothing wrong with being a specialist,
Right.
but being an informed Uber generalist, I think it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that clearly there's a predominance of women in this room,
Right.
and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
But I will say, like, I think it's great that more men are able to step outside of the materialist rationalist paradigm, which has brought good things, but it's also cramped so many people into a certain confine.
Right.
And I think that this is a very good stepping stone for a lot of people who are more rationally minded, because it provides some tangible basis. It's not just pure channeling or something else along those lines. Like, okay, we can look at this chart, we can have reproducibility, repeatability, like experiment with it. If you're going from that mindset, I mean, I personally started down my path with Carl Jung, and that was like my real dive in. And he was such a great foundation. And much of these areas, it is so easy. It's like, I guess, I mean, the rabbit hole analogy fits pretty well. Once you take that little step down, it's like, oh, there you go. Unless it's too repulsive to you that you can't take it.
Right. We have Chiron in Aries now. And when you get into the story of Chiron, he's the teacher of all the heroes, right? Of the Iliad and the Odyssey. And Chiron is a master at astrology and music and poetry, the strategy of war, healing. Like, he is this Renaissance figure, in Greek mythology. And we have Chiron in Aries now. And it feels to me like that's kind of the story of men, as men are starting to branch out into things like astrology and healing and putting together, a bigger dossier of what it's like to be a man. So I feel like it's part of our time. And I, as a man that's been doing this for a long time, I think it's great. Yeah. It's like, I don't feel like I'm just the only one now. And it's not just, like woo guys or new age guys, like real dudes are finding astrology. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned during the introductions is you talked about coming from a software background, right? And I had Dr. Shiva on my show a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about systems and how when you understand systems, they're kind of interchangeable in some ways, right? Once you understand how systems work, and astrology is a system, right? It's just a different kind of system.
Yep, absolutely.
So did you find that your ability to understand systems was translated through your approach to astrology?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's in programming parlance, it would be object-oriented programming. So
right.
you create little parcels, and they're interchangeable, and you can snap them in and out. But I mean, I have Mercury in Pisces, so I have a little bit more symbolic thinking, a little bit more, it's not as concrete. So the symbolism of astrology really allows me to tap into that and to look beyond, okay, we have these very concrete lines of code, to more of the eternal archetypal energy behind any given astrological point, sign, glyph, whatever. So I think like it's some synthesis of that. And I think astrology is really great for people who do come from a little bit of an analytical background, but also have, it allows me to tap into my intuition.
Right.
And so I think it's a wonderful meeting point of those two worlds. Yeah. And, maybe that's why, it draws to men in some ways, because it allows them to touch that aspect of themselves that's a bit more feminine,
right,
while still maintaining, I guess, their integrity,
right,
in their conscious belief as men.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When I first did a reading for you, I was really struck by what I felt was your character, and I thought, this is a good dude. I like him, right? And then here we are 2 years later, and I'm so glad you're here. So thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
I've met a lot of great people, and I told Robert on some phone call in the past that I feel like he's done a great job at embodying the 11th house spirit of community and bringing people together. I've met so many great connections, and it seems like there's this, very much a circulating, permeating energy that comes with this group of, you can meet someone here, and then I guess, the example I used earlier was Shauna. Like, I met her in the past, and now she's here, and like it's this woven fabric.
It's really interesting that way. Yeah. And yeah. It is very 11th housey. Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, just look, I was thinking about these times and what we're going through, and these birthing pains in many ways, these contractions and expansions, and it's very intense. I've been feeling it this past week deeply. I don't think it's my own. Of course, it brings up my own stuff, but my parents, God bless them. I try to speak to them about how I see the world, the potentials that can be. And they're both Taurus moons, so they're very grounded and salt of the earth, and they think I'm woo.
Right. Yeah.
But I really believe that the true potential and the true what's going to get us through these times is people coming into their own authentic expression. I know it seems obvious, that seems quite clear, but it's also not. Many people don't see that. They think that, this authority is going to provide, relief. They're like hero worship, but even in less pernicious forms. Like it's people who attach all of their own power onto another, onto a system.
Right.
And I think it's really like, I tell my parents, I'm using them as an example. I love them. But I tell them like, I don't have all the answers. No individual has all the answers for these times, but it's people following their own path, following their own guidance, knowing what they need to do in their heart that will bring us through.
Yeah.
And it's going to be unique for every person. Some people are going to be very much in the, spiritual realm. Some people, I think it's just important that they know that there is more to this particular life. And then they just move on with their life. They don't, it's just in the background.
Right.
So it's a whole spectrum, but really that's what I hope to facilitate is a greater awakening into that, into people's own power.
Well, you're on the path. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. You're welcome. Shauna, come on up here. We got to complete the circuit. We got 200 people in chat.
Oh my goodness.
Here she is, Shauna home. So here we are. When did I first meet you? Was it 2011 or 12?
12.
2012.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
Yeah. And how did I even find you? I can't even remember.
You didn't
now.
find me. I found you.
Okay.
So I had written my book, Love and Spirit Medicine.
Yeah.
And then
Which is a must read, by the way.
I have copies here somewhere. In any case, I was looking for people who were on what might find my work interesting. And so then I contacted you, and then you actually read the book.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I loved it. It was great. It was a page turner.
Yeah. And then you interviewed me, and you've been such a support for my work. And then Robert has read for me every year. Every January, I get my annual reading with Robert, and so incredibly astute. Oh my goodness, just helps me so much.
Well, your book blew me away. And here's how I read your book. I sat down by the pool. I was living in this apartment complex where they had a pretty nice pool. And I said, I'm going to lay down in this lounge chair, and I'm going to read this book until I'm done. Right. And then I read it all in one setting because it was really hard to put down. The book is about Shauna's exodus out of her marriage and her life and her journey into the entheogen world with the mushroom medicine. And I felt like I was reading a cross between Altered States and Eat, Pray, Love. Is that the name of that book?
Yeah.
I'm like, this book is amazing. Somebody's got to make a movie out of this book because it was so well written. And you didn't leave anything off the page, right? All the dark stuff, the warts, the ugly stuff, all your hopes and dreams and passions, which didn't really come to fruition in a lot of ways, but yet they did in a different way. They're all in the book. Mm-hmm. So I said, I got to interview this person. And you were a great author and a great interview. And you've continued to do your work on a spiritual level, working with people individually. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing that ever since then, really?
Well, I'm in my 9th year now.
9th year, okay.
Yeah, the retreat work.
Real intense one-on-one.
Very, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And you've said to me, I'm living my chart.
Right.
And which I am. So Love and Spirit Medicine, it's in a box. I'll make those available later.
Yeah, you got to get it. It's a great read, totally great read. So now here you are amongst all these people. What's it feel like?
Oh, it's the best because my work is so contained.
Yeah.
So I rarely leave the compound, as I call it. And so, and I love where I live. I live on an alpaca farm now in Northern Virginia.
Right.
It's really beautiful. But to be in a group of like-minded people, and I'm especially excited to meet Dr. Longo and company. And I cannot keep up with all your videos. I'm trying to take in as much as I possibly can. So yeah, no, this is wonderful. And it's also so heartening, and it gives me hope that there are more than a few people who are very awake and aware, who have eyes to see, who aren't idiots, who can think critically. And I think that this time we're in is, I think it's going to be rough. I think at times terrible. And I think also we're going to get through it. We're going to get to the
I agree
other
with you.
side. Sally Fallon, who runs the Weston A. Price Foundation, she's a great speaker. And she said once in one of her talks, this is not survival of the fittest. This is going to be survival of the wisest.
Right.
And that's what it's going to take to get us through this, is wisdom and discernment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to be speaking tomorrow, and we agreed on a topic for you, which was how you were able to really transform your life and have a real practical grasp of manifestation.
Right.
Because there was a point in time when you and I were communicating, and you were really in a very rough place,
Mhm.
a very rough place financially,
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah.
And then you had this goal of liberating yourself from that place and getting literally a new place, which was a place to live. But it wasn't just, hey, I just need a place to live. You had a very specific place in mind.
Mhm.
And then you manifested that.
Yes, I did.
And you did it in a relatively quick period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And you're going to share your journey with folks here, because it's possible, right? It is
Yes.
possible.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. My formula is vision, focus, and will. And that is something that tyrants break, is will. And so we need that.
We have to
need that.
reclaim it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, it's great
Robert.
to have
Thank
you here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Shauna.
Okay.
All right. Donna home. All right. Who else do I want to have? Robin, come on up here. We've got our eccentric artist from Brooklyn. And we're glad to have her. Thanks for being here, Robin. This is Robin Dan. Dig the shirt. What do you think of the shirt? I love the shirt. It's literally like the crystal skull in some ways, but it's sort of a pop art version of it. It's cool. So how you doing?
I'm nervous.
You're nervous? Okay.
I know you're a good interviewer, though. So
Well, you're gonna have to talk up just a little bit. We're gonna punch through your nervousness. Right there you go. Speak to the back of that room when you talk.
okay.
Okay. All right. So a journey from Brooklyn. You came here spontaneously. Are you a spontaneous person like that?
Yes, I'm not a planner.
You're not a planner,
not a natural
not a
planner.
natural. But you've been thinking about coming here.
Yes, Adrian and I talked about maybe coming next year. We wanted to come this year. We considered it, but it was booked up. And then I was watching you live when you
Right.
said there were spots opening up, and I was like typing in the chat over and over, I want those rooms.
Right. Yeah.
And then I didn't get in touch with you till the next day.
Yeah. And it happened like,
It happened.
like that, right? Yeah. It's usually when it's good. So you're an artist, aren't you? Is that what you do?
Yes.
We'll talk about your art. What medium?
I'm like really bad at talking about
Well, now's
the
your
art.
chance to talk about it.
I mean, I do a little bit of everything. I do have a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I took like a corporate detour, and then I burned out, and then I found myself in a vocational program that taught very old-fashioned, hands-on stuff, and then I ended up working in a studio that makes hand-painted wallpaper. Like every roll we painted from scratch,
Wow.
and with a wonderful, wonderful group of people who were all asleep.
Right.
The only awake one, and just the house witch, I guess.
How sweet.
uh,
I love it.
and they recently had some financial troubles, and they all but shut down. But I think they're trying to sell off parts of the company, and I might end up working for them again. And in the
Okay.
meantime, I'm working on having a home business, maybe teaching kids one-on-one. And that's a lot of planning. So it's taking me a long time.
Right. That's not that spontaneous.
It's-
You got to channel some Virgo in
But
there,
I
right?
feel like perhaps that's why I lost the job, so that I would work on this. I
Right.
feel like it's maybe a calling.
Right. Good. Good. So you live in New York City, and I talk about New York a lot on my streams because it just pops up. Eric Adams and what's happening there. What is happening there? What's your experience like?
Well, I live in my 5D bubble,
Right.
so I can't. I have a great time in New York,
Right.
and I have met people who think like me,
Yeah.
and I've kept a couple of friends who don't think like me, but they love me.
So it's almost like a pocket universe in some ways, that you have some people that you connect with and you kind of plan some activities around that. And
Yeah, I started a group on Facebook to try and meet awake people that were near so we
Yeah.
could meet in person. I joined Adriana Lisa's community. She really helped me a lot. She's an awake astrologer.
Mhm.
And like who found people in the chat who lived in New York. So I made a friend that way. And then I joined some groups in New York that were like anti-mask.
right.
Or I joined a manifestation group that was meeting during lockdown, and I
Right.
made some friends.
So that's the amazing thing about lockdown is that people had a lot of time in their hands. So, they actually dug into things and they dug into information. They wanted to know what was going on. It also helped certain people like you find other people who you could connect with, especially in a city and in a state that was so brutal with all the mandates and all that stuff, right? So were you able to navigate that period fairly easily? What was that like for you? And what about the help that you got from some of these people?
Well, my job was wonderful. They paid us to work at home, so I got to like reconstruct my apartment as an art studio
Cool.
on the clock.
Right.
And we did, I did some art projects from home. Then we went on furlough for a while, but we would get unemployment. But I spent like 8 hours a day doing scientific research.
Yeah.
And I volunteered for Eric Francis Coppolino, who is
Oh, yeah.
another awake astrologer.
know
I know
Eric.
you
I know
guys
Eric.
met,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was on one of his teams, like
He was doing good. He was
researching
doing good work
stuff.
back then.
Yeah,
Good for
so
him.
we really like got to the bottom of things really quickly. I think like within a few months, I had a pretty good idea.
You had a good understanding of what was going on.
And yeah, lockdown was helpful because before that, I had so many interests that I didn't even know like what community to reach out and focus on. And all of a sudden, it was very clear
It's really
what to focus on, what kind of people I needed in my life.
that was during that Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And then Pluto went into Aquarius. I'm sorry, Saturn went into Aquarius very quickly, right? That was hard. But it all kind of started around that Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And that aspect is deep focus, right? It's very intense, right? You kind of want to get to the center of things. You want to use your time appropriately because Saturn involves time, and there was no time during that time. So there was more free time in a lot of ways to do
It
those
wasn't
things.
structured.
It wasn't structured. We were in this kind of non-time. So there were people that did benefit from that, in as much as there were people that struggled. You're one of the ones that got a lot out of it, it seems.
Yeah, I did a deep dive into science and a deep dive into spirituality.
Beautiful.
And the talking heads on YouTube were like my new family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got more eye contact from them than ever in real life. It was a little surreal.
Yeah. Well, I love New York and I love the spirit of New York. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Robin Dan. All right. Let's go from the arts to politics. Where's Reggie? Come on up here, Reggie. Oh, what do we got here?
Open that up.
All right.
I got a funny story for you.
Okay. Feels like it's a cap. Oh, a tiger's cap. I love it.
I have to tell you a story. I was at a dinner where Rudy Giuliani was there, and he was doing his podcast, and there was a man sitting in the corner, and I said, "Who's that guy?" And they said, "It's Denny McClain." And
Denny
I'm like,
McClain,
and I'm
my
like,
guy.
no, no shit, yeah. So I went up, I talked to him and stuff, and he's signing some stuff for you. I just didn't get it before. I
Danny
came here-
McClain signed some stuff for me.
Yeah,
That is
he
so fucking cool.
He
I
is.
love it.
No, every time you talk about him, I think about that. So that was kind of a cool experience.
So, do I look like Tom Selleck? Does he wear a Tiger's cap? Is he a Tiger's guy? Do I look
Yeah.
like Tom Selleck? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So look at my mom. He wears a Tiger's cap, right? Tom Selleck, you know that.
Yeah, Maverick,
And you know,
or not Maverick, was it Magnum PI?
yeah. You can tell that story.
That looks
later.
good on you, though.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So the story is my first exposure to baseball through TV.
Mhm.
I was watching a game. I was 8 years old. It was 1968.
Mhm.
I was watching a game at the neighbor's house. It wasn't even my house.
Uh-huh.
And the Tigers were playing. And this guy, Denny McClain, was pitching. And he was wearing his cap like this, was like way down. And I just thought, I'm 8 years old. Like, that guy's a badass. I love the way he wears his cap. And he was kind of an outlaw. He was a really interesting, smart, strange character. Got caught up in a lot of weird stuff with money and money laundering, spent some time in prison. But he was on the Ed Sullivan Show playing his organ. He played organ. And he was
I'll get his number. You can talk to him.
well, he's dead now. He
Okay.
passed away.
Oh, Denny?
Then he's gone.
No, he isn't. I just met him.
You just met him? Really?
Yeah, he's not dead.
I'm having a Mandela effect now.
No, I met him a couple months ago.
Okay, well, pass his number on. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Well, thank you for the hat, Reggie.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah. So, all right. Enough about Danny McClain. Let's talk about you.
Well, I met him through politics.
So Reggie was here last year, and we got to talk just a little bit, not a lot.
Yeah.
And you told me about you being involved in politics in Michigan.
Mhm.
What is that like?
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Last year when I came, I had just gotten into it. I mean, the lowest elected position you could get is a precinct delegate, and I had just been elected. So I had just hit the ground running. Since then, I'm on the Michigan GOP State Committee, which
Wow.
is like the board of directors for the state, and a few other things. And I'm dating the chair for the largest county in
Wow.
Michigan.
So you hooked up through the politics
yeah,
thing.
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
Uh,
All right.
So it's just initiation by fire now. Everything is burning down.
Right.
It's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy.
So what's going on with Governor Whitler?
Oh, well, I don't know. Some say she's going to run for president, but I don't think that's possible. I mean, we've got primaries. She just moved the primary up to the end of February in Michigan.
Right.
And so that's going to be something new for us.
So you've got the big three. You've got her, Benson.
Oh, yeah, Benson. You heard she's trying to get our electors all put in jail. So I know a lot of those people
Right.
are raising funds to help with their defense, but
Right.
it's crazy.
It is crazy, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to try to keep Trump off the ballot in Michigan.
There's talk about it. I don't know. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah.
No, we haven't talked about it too much. Trump's been in Michigan a lot. I met him back in March. We had a Lincoln dinner with like 3,000 people, and he was our guest of honor.
Right.
Just drove in his motorcade a couple weeks ago, and they're guaranteeing some fun stuff for us this year. So,
What was that like? Was there a buzz? I mean, what was it like to be around Trump?
oh, there's always a buzz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, but he seems more serious now and more grounded.
Yeah.
When he speaks, I like his speeches better now because he's actually putting some good content in there. I think
Yeah.
he's a little more mindful.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. It feels to me like a state like Michigan, you've got the whole northern part of the state, which,
Mhm.
you know, pretty blue collar, you know,
Mhm.
a lot of 2A people.
Mhm.
And then you have Ann Arbor and you have East Lansing.
Mhm.
Do those two cities just dominate the politics at a state level? Because it feels to me like Michigan feels conservative. It feels more rootsy.
I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. It doesn't, I mean, there's Grand Rapids,
Yeah.
Ann Arbor, like you said, East Lansing, Detroit.
Yeah.
Um, and there are a lot of conservative people, but our big cities are going so far progressive,
Right.
or at least the politicians want it to go that way. I'm doing a lot of work within, you know, for municipal elections, and I'm finding a lot of people that define themselves as Democrat are giving up because they think they've just gone too far.
Right.
And so it's I think this election is going to be very, very interesting. I really do.
You know, a lot of people think that we won't have an election, but I do think we'll have an election.
Mhm.
I'm not sure we'll have many more after that, but I do think we're going to have an election.
Yeah. who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. So there seems to be a bit of a demographic shift around Trump and conservatives. More quote unquote minorities
Mhm.
are they're starting to see the light, right? Like, hey,
Mhm.
you know, we don't like the plantation. You know, we want off that plantation.
Yeah.
Are you experiencing that demographic shift at all in your work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's heartening, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I talk to people every day, and it's incredible. You know, like I said, I've met people that said I've been a lifelong Democrat and I don't recognize our party. I met Tulsi Gabbard the other day. She gave a speech just about that. You know,
Right.
where because she kind of defected, I guess.
Right.
And she said, I just don't recognize it anymore. She says, it's not the party that I grew up with and I want to be affiliated with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you see, I mean, in our Michigan GOP, at the top, our vice chairs, our chair is a Black woman.
Right.
We've got 3 vice chairs that are Muslims. I mean, we're very well represented.
Right.
When you consider the Republican Party, it's not just a bunch of old white guys.
Yeah. So where does Dearborn lean in on all this?
Yeah. Well, Dearborn, there a lot of people are turning over to the conservative movement.
Right.
When they started screwing around with the schools,
That's
school
a big
boards,
thing, right?
it just infuriated them.
Yeah.
And the Indian population, there's a big Indian population, Chinese population. And when they started working on the schools in some of these more affluent areas, getting rid of honors programs,
Which is
AP
where some of these
classes.
cultures really excel. Right?
Well, and that's why they move into those communities.
Yeah.
And they've just had it.
Right.
So
You're taking away part of their dream
yeah.
for their kids to get a toehold
yeah.
in this country and do well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're in a tough business. How do you stay like grounded and hopeful?
I make that choice every day.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side and been in a very deep hole.
Yeah.
And once I got out, I just said, you know what, I'm not going back there.
Right.
And it's just a choice.
It's just a choice every day.
Every day.
Beautiful. Love it. Reggie, everybody, here we go. Give it up. Thank you.
I can show you some pictures.
Okay, cool. Denny McLean. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Who should we have up here next? Is Longo around? Come on up here. Let's go. Old World, Florida. Old World, Florida. What's going on, brother?
What's up?
Have a seat. So here he is.
Is this even on?
It is on, man. Are you on?
Yep.
Okay. How you doing?
Good, good.
So, Mr. Longo just got in here about an hour and a half ago.
Just about, yeah.
How was your journey? You came all the way from Florida in a van. Was it a magical mystery tour?
Yeah. We left South Florida, Palm Beach, right down the street from Donna T.
Right. Yeah.
So left there, crawled up the west.
Donnie T. Are you on like on a first name basis with Donnie T?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
yeah. So went up the west coast of Florida,
Yeah.
saw some interesting stuff, and went up past Louisiana and right up to here.
Right. So no hassles. All cool.
No, very smooth trip. You want me to tell you about cool stuff?
Yeah, let's hear some cool. You're here for the cool stuff.
Sure, yeah.
All right.
We drank some radioactive spring water, so we're measurably radioactive.
Right.
Yeah,
How you feeling with that? Feel good?
feels great. Yeah,
Good. All right. So Radium Spring. You stop at the Radium Spring.
Radium spring.
Did you bring some back for the rest of us?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
All right.
What else did we see? We went swimming in some springs. I'm drawing a blank, actually.
You're drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can help you fill it in. Did you see any fourth dimensional entities along the way?
We saw anchors. That's what we stopped and see.
The big
Yeah,
anchors, the big stone
some more
anchors.
stone anchors. Yeah,
John, what's his name?
Saxer stone.
John Saxer stones. So you actually got to like touch a Saxer stone.
Yeah, we got chased off of one of them too by this lady.
Well, what was her role there? What was she doing?
She just lived there and she called the police on us.
Was it like in her yard or something?
It wasn't her yard. It was she lived in a complex. We were there. I'm still riled up about this. Right?
Is this an issue?
We were parked publicly to go see the stones. They're all over Tampa Bay area. And this lady comes out almost like an Agent Smith entity.
Right. Like an
Something
NPC
like that.
just blinks in, right?
Truly.
Yeah.
And she saw people smiling outside her window and was like, that needs to end. Gotta.
Oh, they're having a good time.
And I was just filming the stone.
Yeah.
And she told us two sentences in, she goes, I'm calling the police. So
That's almost mythical, right? It's like the guardian of the stone, but like the dark
Yeah.
guardian of the stone. You got to get past like the dark troll, right?
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
The mistake was, I think it's the first time I ever went without John Saxer himself.
Oh, so he's got the magical key to the guardian troll.
Mhm.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, we ate some good Greek food. So who knows that the most Greek people outside of Greece, like the highest concentration, Tampa Bay, Florida, Tarpon Springs. That's where all these big ancient stone anchors are. It's what my YouTube channel is about largely. So
Well, that's really where you started off. It was like the first few shows were around that content. I remember watching those shows. I thought, who
Mhm.
is this guy? I like this guy. Remember those shows? Yeah.
Robert was one of the very, very first people supporting me that was established on YouTube. So I'm never going to forget that. He's a great guy. And
Well, we're happy to have you here. And you're going to speak tomorrow. You're going to probably just blow the roof off this sucker
Mhm.
tomorrow.
sure, I'll do my best.
And it's T and X and Texas and
Yeah.
the eclipse.
Eclipses, earthworks. We live here now, right? America.
Yeah.
A lot of people lived here before.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones into astrology. We're not the only ones willing to travel across the country for astrological occurrences and
Right.
congregations. And there's earthworks, mounds, pyramids all over Florida, Louisiana, Southeast United States. About as far back as you go, there's astrologically aligned earthworks. So that's, some people's entry into astrology is the birth chart, personality, understanding yourself and
Undersplaining. I like the undersplaining.
Undersplaining,
Yeah.
personality types and stuff like that. My entry to astrology was astrotheology and astrotopography, like earthworks, pyramids, and
Right. How they all lined up.
you were talking about earlier, men getting into astrology, right? Well, I think practical astrology, engineering with astrology, all of that.
It's
there's-
done.
It's
People do
all,
it. Yeah.
That's the next chapter in terms of,
Yeah.
so.
I remember, when you and I first started to connect, and I had this pretty clear sense because you're Gen Z. You've got Pluto and Aquarius.
Mhm.
I mean, Pluto and Sag, Neptune and Uranus and Aquarius.
Mhm.
And I found Gen Z take to astrology like no other generation.
Mhm.
Like Gen Z has this intuitive take on astrology, and the outer planets really communicate that. And I realized that, as I got to know you and what you were talking about in your channel more, and I thought to myself, well, this is a generation that will live astrologically
Mhm.
more than any other generation, right? Embodied in what you wear, embodied in, how you interact with the energy of a day, a week, a month, a time, right? And I find it really encouraging because I also find Gen Z to be pretty based.
Mhm.
So, you've got sort of the woo side in some ways.
Yes.
So you have the base side, which, I mean, I feel like that's where it's at, because you can't take the woo out of the truth and you can't take the truth out of the woo. So when you get into the based part, we're really talking about, hardcore truth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's a little bit of like country club mixed in with Woodstock in my
Yeah.
Gen Z, I guess. So,
Right.
I find people with generations before me,
Yeah.
there tends to be a more established entry point to astrology, like religion or conspiracy theories. With Gen Z, it seems like, they've all got this stuff on their Snapchat. So even if that's garbage, I don't know why that's another thing. Astrology is kind of being pushed on my generation. I don't know why that is.
That's
but,
interesting because they can set the algorithms to that, right?
because you've got your Snapchat telling people your birth sign and you don't even set that yourself. So, but aside from that, I think, I dress with the days of the week, making my girlfriend do it now too. So that's practical to me.
Right. This is because when you and I first started to get into this,
Yeah.
it was, you were, I think it was on a Sunday night show and you were wearing yellow.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here's the clue. This is a generation that is going to become cosmological, right? And I was on I was part of a conference back in February when we were in Vegas. Remember that? And they were talking about how it's really almost impossible for like Gen Z to do astrology because you have to live, right? Like you have to live a little to understand. And I pushed back on that. I said, this is a generation that is intuitively getting this. And they're going to get it in a way that we don't understand from our current vantage point because they're going to live astrology. It may not just be somebody who's a practitioner, because that's what they were talking about. Like, how could Gen Z be a practitioner? Because they haven't lived long enough, right? They haven't had the ups and downs and sort of the tidal waves of life and experience. And there is some truth to that. But on the other hand, that's not what I was talking about. Yeah, I was talking about something from a much more macro picture.
I find life experience can often bitter people and bias people towards certain signs, houses, previous people they've had in their life. If you can get a talented astrologer, not because I'm young, but a young astrologer, you have a little bit more of a blank slate without that life experience.
If they're really good, they'd have to be really, really, really,
Yeah.
really good.
For sure.
And sometimes from a client space, people will talk about their life issues, right? It's not just an interpretation of the chart.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's where, some of the lived experience does come into play. But again, from a cosmological perspective, that's very different. It's like not necessarily a belief system, but it's something that's integrated into everyday life. And that's a very different kind of relationship with astrology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's it feel?
Feels good. This guy never talks about how tall he is. Tall guy.
I like to surprise people. I like to catch up from behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a-
I knew you were tall. I
Yeah.
could tell you were tall.
6'4",
6'3".
6'3".
Yeah.
Tall.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you made it.
For sure, man.
And we're going to have a lot of meat tonight. But we got stuff set up for you. And we got oranges right back there for you. Okay?
Appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Glad to be here.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. All right. Dr. Longo. All right. We got 211 people in there. Okay. How about a couple more and then we'll wrap it up and and we'll break for a while. We'll come back. How's that sound? Does that sound good? All right, we'll go 3. I gotta get my main man Tommy up here. Come on, Tom.
Yeah.
Come on, TK. I know. It's the beauty of surprise. How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you. Tom is the glue guy. You know, if I'm 10 minutes late, I get the text. It's like, are you okay? Where are you? Right. But I, as much as my Virgo and perfection self kind of bristles at it, I'm really grateful that you do that because it means a lot to me. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for connecting with everybody. You're like a good octopus, right? You got all your arms out here connecting to.
Well, I'm happy to do it, and I've got the time. I don't like a lot of times. I'll think, oh, maybe Steve should text him.
Sometimes I get a double dose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'll let Steve text you rather than me text you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want to bug you too much.
No, it's all good, man. I'm happy to be bugged if I'm sort of off on something.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't know. We're just out there, and
Right.
we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I wish I lived in Texas because then I'd be a full-time producer for you.
I'd love it.
If I had
That would be great.
opportunity.
Yeah.
'Cause I think you could, it'd be nice if you had somebody to,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Producing. Steve could fill me in though,
Yeah.
since he's a producer.
Yeah.
But
So you're here and
I'm
you
here and-
almost didn't come this year.
almost
You're on
didn't.
the fence.
Yeah, I definitely was because I don't really like doing things just on my own.
Right.
I like to do it with somebody,
Yeah.
just a friend or,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be any more than that. But so yeah, to get on a plane and come down here by myself, it was,
It's a new experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of new. I came down once before, but
Right.
when I first met you.
Yeah. But you were with your son.
Yeah, he was here. I came down to hook up and we drove
Right.
home together.
Yeah.
So that was a good trip. And
Yeah. We had barbecue.
yeah, and I remember that October was when it was the second year that you had the in here.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get down here, but that was right when COVID hit,
Yeah.
just couldn't get it together. So I really still wanted to meet you in person. 'Cause
Yeah.
I we had a reading, and so that was the opportunity for me to come down and
Yeah.
meet you in the physical world, not the virtual world.
And here you are again.
Yeah, it's changed my life. Just
You've had so many cool connections and relationships come out of this.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And for those people as well. I mean, you're just a really rock solid guy and we love you, man. Yeah. Thank you for doing everything you do.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, do you have any pearls of wisdom that you want to share with the world now that you're on TV?
Yeah, I wish I did. If anything, Donna mentioned it. It's, in the background everywhere. We should just maybe have a moment of silence for.
We're going to
Can
do
do
that
that
later
later.
this afternoon.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to map that out.
I remember when, like the 6-Day War took place. I was at Montreal in Expo, '67.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And because of the way the world was set up then, you didn't really know what was happening. It was just something in the periphery. But I mean, it was pretty heavy duty, especially for the people on the USS Liberty.
Right.
And
Yeah. Which doesn't get talked about very often.
no. And I mean, there's been a lot of, it's that whole area is something that's touched us all differently in different ways, I'm sure. Rachel Corrie dying over there it was just a very senseless death.
Right.
Affected me. I don't know. I just feel like it's a very thing I was bringing up 67 for is because things are so, we didn't know what was going on. We weren't even aware.
Right.
It's just a newspaper headline,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
And now we're just so wired that
But it's hard to cut through the noise too.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much noise. And when you finally do cut through the noise and you think that you may have a bead on something, the blowback on your bead can be tremendous because there's a lot of pressure to believe one thing, right? There's a lot of pressure to check a box because a lot of other people are checking that box. And it's theoretically the most righteous box to check. And a lot of people have pulled back from sharing their opinions, but a lot haven't. And this is a change. And I'm noticing this now. There are a lot more people that are questioning the narrative that we're being given. And, you know, hats off to them because we need to question the narrative. Who profits from all this?
Oh, yeah.
And why? Right? Why? And there are so many unanswered questions from all these other heavy duty, life changing, culture changing events that never get questioned or answered. Right. And so it's just another, another event in the event canon where we're just supposed to suck down the company line. And I think people they're less inclined to do that now. And there's a danger around that. The danger is that once you get a larger group of people that are willing to reject the commonly held or general narrative, the people that are creating that commonly held and general narrative double down. That's like, okay, you want to see what this is really about? Here we go. Right. And so then there's a new level of atrocity or a new level of terror or a new level of theater or a new level of illusion. But we're in a cycle now where that's not going to work. Right. It may have worked 20 years ago. It's not going to work now. Because as these people do that, it's going to become explicitly clear what's taking place. And no matter how much they throw at the event canon, we're going to wind up discerning through that. And they're going to reveal themselves and expose themselves as they try to double down, triple down, and quadruple down. So in that regard, these are very interesting times. But we also are probably going to have to live through that, right? Yep. We're going to have to sort out what's happening as this thing unfolds. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, people are waking up all the time, right? I think they're seeing through the fog. I mean, I live in Massachusetts and it's crazy there. People were definitely had their Ukrainian flags up and now they're probably going to replace them with the Star of Israel flag. And, it's unfortunate that people can't see that this is all being played on the stage for us to separate us, keep us separated and, dumb down.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say Wendy's back in chat. You mentioned it earlier, but I'm so happy that she came back today.
Good.
And Queen Lisa, Mojo Mama, these are people we haven't seen out there for a while.
It takes an event like this and you being here to bring it back, Tom.
Lynn, Finca Felice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all hanging laundry.
Yeah.
I didn't see Equicentric today or who else? Who else am I thinking of? Anyways, always good to be in chat. And sometimes I miss what you're saying because
you're doing chat things.
Yeah.
I get it. No offense taken. You're doing chat things. Yeah. Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
all
Robert.
you do. Thank you. All right. We got time for one more. Mom, why don't you come up here? Come on, let's go. What? This is the first time she's seen my show. I'm not kidding. All right, you get to meet where it all started. Looking pretty good there, Mom.
You're not going to embarrass me, are you?
Oh, no. I'll make you look good. She's done that before. She's got a pretty good hand in it. All right. You there?
I'm here.
You're looking pretty sharp today.
Thanks.
Who's your fashion advisor? There you go. We went shopping. Where was it?
Hee-haw.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Yeehaw Ranch.
Right,
And we got you all southwesterned up.
right. This and this.
And the earrings even match too. Look at
But
that.
these earrings, actually, I got them in Healdsburg in one of these stores that sells things from other countries. These are made in Africa. They're paper.
Oh, they're cool.
Yeah.
You're looking pretty styling.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. So how are you doing here with all of this?
Well, I'm enjoying it, and the people are lovely. Everybody's wonderful,
Yeah.
and everybody's friendly, and it's a very lovely event.
It is a good event, right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
It's just started too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could go home right now and you'd be fine with it, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You have to walk.
Hey, let's talk about your liberation from California.
Okay.
What's that feel like?
Well, first of all, financially it was a big thing.
Yeah, they were killing you out there.
Yeah, they were, and like gas is $6 a gallon now. And the community I lived in was 14,000 retired people in Rossmore.
Most of them waving Ukrainian flags, right?
Well, most of them are liberal.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And everything there's so many things that are, if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't, you don't have to, but you're paying through the nose for it all, And so I don't miss Rossmore. I miss my friends.
Well, you're making new friends. Look
I
at all
know.
the new friends you're making here
I
today,
know.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And your friends, Steve and Claire.
Yes, the guests. Yes.
We've had dinner with them a couple times.
A number of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? How do you feel about being in Texas? Do you like Texas?
Of course I like Texas. And of course your dad has, family in Tyler and Temple and Burke Burnett and San Antonio.
Right.
That's just Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been coming to Texas.
Yes.
For how many years?
Well, 12 years.
12 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time was for my grandson's high school graduation last summer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like Texas. I always have.
Yeah. Actually, I think you were here for Christmas.
Hmm?
You were here for Christmas.
Yeah, I was here for Christmas when it was 21 degrees.
Right. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
coming in. So she goes to a new hairstylist now in town. And she comes home one day and she says, "Oh, I really like those women. I can say whatever I want to them." Right?
Well, I had a hairstylist, in Danville, California. Lovely, lovely young woman. And we used to talk when I go there to get my hair done, but we'd have to kind of whisper, because you didn't really know who you were dealing with. And I was very active in my church. I was the head of the altar guild, head of readers, but there were so many liberal people in church, and they didn't mind telling you about it either, And
I mean, this church was so liberal. So liberal. Can I share the story? Can I share the story?
Which one?
About the Feast of the Jubilees.
Oh, you mean Susan?
Yeah, the Pentecost. So this pastor, she might watch this, by the way.
No, she won't. She's the associate.
Anyway, so she's giving this sermon about the Pentecost, right? And she referred to Adam. What did she call him?
They were the individual.
So Adam was the individual, and Eve was his companion. The companion. She couldn't even say Adam and Eve. The individual and the companion. Right? That is how liberal that church was. And it was really, I have to tell you, like they were really great for you, these people at church.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's what helped me through my first illness and the second illness.
So there's this really weird level of cognitive dissonance, right? Like they're really, really good people and they're helping my mother. And then I'm like, yeah, this church thing's okay. They're treating her really well. And then I'm like, what is going on here? Right? It's just a weird rip in reality. And then about halfway through that service, just like we have over here with screens, they had the schedule for what was upcoming, halfway through the service. And on one screen, it was something about transgender appreciation or introduction or, understanding transgenderism. That was on one screen. And on the other screen, it was the weekly social justice warrior meetup group. And, and your pastor was a good guy on some level.
Todd, who's from Houston.
But when he started to talk about the biblical interpretation of Taylor Swift's lyrics, he was really stretching the content at that point. It was a workshop. Like, and I get it. He was trying to find younger people to connect with the material, but it was like, So on the one hand, they were very helpful for you.
And
right?
I was very helpful for them too.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it was like, you really had to hold it in.
Oh, I did. I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Me and my friend Patty,
Yeah.
we really had to hold our breath.
We're going to find you a new church in here that shoots
Well,
guns.
I know where it is right down here.
They shoot guns down there?
Huh?
Do they shoot guns?
I don't know, but I'm going to try it out once we move here.
Okay. Well, I think they probably have a gun and worship group.
Maybe.
We'll get you hooked up.
First, I have to learn to shoot that little gun of mine better.
Yes, that's about the right caliber for you. Yeah. So you've been on this planet, what, 85 years now? Is that right?
Right, right.
Any words of wisdom for people out there?
Well, basically, I just try to do the best I can, and I get up every day, and I always say, and I say it twice a day. When I go to bed at night, I said, "Thank you, God, for another day." Say good night to my husband, and I say the same thing in the morning. And you just have to meet your challenges, and this whole period of time from June 24th, when I was airlifted to Texas Methodist in San Antonio. I mean, it's been a very long journey, and it's been tough on Rob and Joan. And so I've come a long ways.
But a lot of your care workers have been great, right?
Yeah. I have some really nice nurse practitioners.
They didn't
come to
do
the
that in
house.
California, did they?
Yes, I did have one.
Not to this extent, though.
She was a nice young Asian lady. I
Yeah,
really
okay,
liked her.
good.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying to people, just get up in the morning, strap it on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And just go do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the only words of wisdom I have. You just have to, get out there and do your thing. Now I'm just waiting to drive again.
Oh yeah.
My chariot.
Yeah. She's got a very fast car too, by the way. We'll get you going when we get to Kerrville.
Yeah.
We'll get you up to speed. So,
But we'll have
you
to-
could drive down to that church.
We'll have to drive back and forth down the road to the house.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll do that.
Yeah.
All right, Mom. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Rob.
Love you.
Let me see if I can get up.
Got it?
Got it.
All right. Well, I think that brings it to a close here. Joni, you want to come up? Tom pointed at you. Jones, the bonus edition. Here she is, the lovely and talented one, Dr. Joan S. I can't tell you how many times Joan and I have gone out and a woman will, be, near us or whatever, and they'll say, "You're so pretty," right? "Oh, you're so beautiful," and it's like, dudes don't do that, right? "Oh man, you're a really handsome dude," right? Yeah.
Well, they're usually of a certain persuasion.
Well, yeah, but those women aren't that, right? Now these are straight women that say that to you. No, that's true. What about the realtor's wife that said that to you? She was
Okay.
just admit it, right? She didn't have an agenda.
She want to sell a house.
Well, she was just commenting on your natural beauty. That's all she was doing. But guys just don't do that
Maybe y'all
unless they
should.
have an agenda. Maybe they should. I don't know. It's hey, you're all right.
Hey, man.
Hey, you're all right. You're good. Yeah, you're good too. We keep it at that.
You look
level.
hot in those pants.
No, I don't know. I like your shoes, dude. Yeah, thanks. I don't like yours. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. Yeah, right, bro. So how you doing?
Good.
So Joan, it plays a very critical role by texting me 3 times a day about things I should be doing prior to this event. And I'm grateful for that, even though I've already done those things in most cases. But I'm grateful for that. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
She's more of a Virgo than I am at times. It blows my mind. Wouldn't you say that?
Well, don't I have a progressed Virgo ascendant right now?
Yeah, you are progressed Virgo. And you're pretty deep. So for those of you who don't know, Joan is a biological dentist. So if you need your mercury removed, just come out to Austin and hang out and have a little vacation, and Joan will take care of it for you, right, Johnny?
Safely remove it.
Safely remove it. So how does it feel this year?
Good. Feels great as usual.
This is a great room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good energy.
Yeah,
Can't believe it's 5th one.
I know, right? It is the 5th one. It almost completes the cycle in some ways, 5 points of man or woman in this case. Yeah. So what else is Joan?
There's an eclipse apparently.
Oh, that's right. There is an eclipse. Did you know that the true node is on Joan's Venus right now? Venus and Aries. Yeah, that's why she's getting a lot of attention these days. It's the true node on Venus. One of the things that Joan has really brought to my life is health. She has given me so many fucking supplements. I can't even begin to tell you. My kitchen counter, it's kind of like the map of Israel, right? My kitchen counter used to be Palestine in 1948. And now there's nothing left of the kitchen counter because of all the supplements. So I want to thank Joan for that. You've turned my kitchen counter into Israel.
You're welcome.
Yeah, in a good way. The best parts of it. But she's always on the cutting edge of supplements too. So we started taking this methylene blue stuff. You guys know that? You guys are pretty switched on. Tell them what methylene blue is.
It's a dye.
It's a dye, but you can digest it, right?
Yeah, but it helps your mitochondria heal.
Right.
And it can detox you. They use it for cyanide poisoning.
Yeah. So we're on to the methylene blue scene now, which is really good. Although I haven't had my dose today. You have though, right?
No,
Oh, you haven't?
but it's upstairs.
Okay, we're gonna methylene blue out. Joni, I just want to say thank you for everything. Appreciate
You're
all you do. And yeah, I wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you for that. Because all right, that about wraps it up. I think we've had enough touchy-feely for now. Everybody else out there, thank you for being here. I'm going to have a link in the show notes if you want to buy a ticket for tomorrow's live stream, where you're going to see Shauna's presentation, Dr. Longo's presentation, my presentation, and be a part of the group again. So look for that. It's not there, but I'll have it there within the next 45 minutes. And that's about it. Oh, come on up here, Mark. I wanted to bring you up here real quick. This is Mark. You were on my list. I didn't get to. So our final edition, Mr. Mark. Yes, what's going on, brother?
Well, glad to be here.
We're happy to have you. So you can grace us with your unique art. And how was your journey here?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. We drove to Orlando, got a flight,
Yeah.
got here,
Yeah.
and hit the room and just actually flaked right out and slept.
Yeah. Good.
And then here I am. This is nice.
So you've got your biosensors open. What do you think of this group?
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just getting better and better as the moments go by.
Yeah.
Really enjoying it, getting to see faces to names that I've seen,
Yeah.
passing in chat. Yeah, it's full of fun surprises. So I'm excited about when I'm going to meet people later and draw their cartoon.
Yeah. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you feeling in general? Just about life, state of affairs of the world, universe? How you doing with all this?
I mean, with the eternal sort of Damocles hanging over one's head.
That's right, yeah.
At all moments.
Yeah.
I take time to breathe in everything that I can.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to appreciate it. I love living down in South Florida right now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, energetic. I mean, I call Florida like psychic whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get from moment to moment. It's crazy, but I like it.
Yeah.
Like when I landed there, my body said, stop, this is where you're going to be. I just said, this is where you're going to live.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I dropped anchor in Florida.
Right.
Contrasting to escaping Canada, where it's like kind of this muted violence, I would call
Muted
it.
violence.
Yeah, it's like I guess it would have the stench of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
I'd call that, where everything's kind of repressed and
Right.
go along to get along. Where
We'll twist a Chinese kind of
on the West. I mean,
Yeah.
on down.
influence.
I'm learning to speak Cuban, then I'll learn to speak Mexican.
Yeah. You get a little practice this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'm Texan now too.
Yeah.
So
How's your all?
I have a concealed carry for it, so I only use it when I need to use it. I don't just whip it out for no reason.
All right. I like that. Yeah, I'm just glad to have you here. It's going to be great. And you're going to just do amazing tomorrow night when we party a little bit and you get to meet all these people.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I never know how things will play out. They do, and it's always a surprise.
Yeah.
Every environment that I get into with an event, like the last one I had I'll tell you about it later, was really interesting. Us just movers and shakers, especially down in South Florida. It's like the crossroads of the battle of good and evil down there. Everyone's hanging out.
Yeah.
And you see it, and then it's on display.
Yeah, I bet you do see it too.
Big time.
What do you do? This is an interesting question. I've never asked you this question, but what do you do? And you're really good at putting people at ease and really finding interesting parts of their essence. What do you do when you run across somebody that you just kind of want to repel from? How do you handle something like that?
Everything is my responsibility to clear myself from. So I've sat with someone who literally confessed that they love killing people when I was drawing their cartoons. So this guy was special forces and he missed the killing with a knife part. And so I remind myself, okay, feeling a little triggered, but not knowing the world just knew me. Take a deep breath. And if I get into a moral discussion in my mind, good or bad or right or wrong, I'm lost because I put my mind into it based on my limited amount of experience that I could see something. And then I'll start spewing bullshit.
Right.
So I can't do that.
Right.
And,
so you have to remain kind of neutral in the process and part of the art.
And everything. I mean, I'm only interpreting based on my maturity and where I'm at this moment. So, I mean, we've all read a book that was one meaning before.
Right.
And then we read it again. We're a different person. It's a whole different meaning.
That's
or,
right.
You've misinterpreted teachings or whatever else. And you come back later and go, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, laid an egg on that one.
Right. Because you see it from your own perspective, your own bias at times, where you just are experientially.
I am fully aware that I cannot solve this world.
Yeah.
And so now it's kind of like just go through it and there's an adventure in being where you don't expect to be, because where I came from was really small.
Yeah.
I was in the mountains, in a rural area in eastern British Columbia. And it's, you'd be a lumberjack or go to university.
Mm.
And the world was small. And so you get these other places where people wouldn't imagine. And it's fun in their own world itself. It's small. They're like everyone's in everyone's own bubble going through life, basically screaming at each other or wanting things a certain way. And it's fairly fake looking. When you really get into it, everything is so bizarre that it's not solvable just logically looking at it. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, and who am I as a man? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
I really feel that your integrity matters, who you are as you show up. You can't make excuses for much because you're going to be carrying the weight of it no matter what, where you go.
Yeah.
So why not just give yourself a break now and behave yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you resolve that illustration with that guy?
I think I drew him as Thor with a big hammer. With lightning.
Right.
I mean, this is
You went archetypal on him.
Yeah, well, that's what he was excited, but it's just how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever we are in this world, this is how it is. I mean, I don't even feel bad about it. I don't this is just life.
Right.
This is how, I see, some things that appear horrific, and there's a lot of beauty too.
Yeah.
And, I got a real good vibe of you can kind of see where the boat's going, but at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah.
So then it's all up to me just to clean the house within myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, my man. Well said. Thank you for being here. We're happy to have you here.
You are so
Looking forward to tomorrow night. Yeah. Well, that's about it. Is there anything else you want to share with the rest of the world?
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mark.
See you later.
All right. That's it. We are done. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Look for the link about 25 minutes or so. And if you want to grab a ticket for tomorrow, it'll be well worth it. What's that? What's that? You want to pan the camera? You should pan the camera. Well, you got to loosen it up, that little knob in the back right there. Yeah. And then turn it around. There we go. Keep turning. There you go. You're on display. There we are. Say hi to everybody. Look at that. We got a full room. Beautiful room. All right. Thanks, Joni. You got to get it closer to me, though. Here we go. All right. See you. Bye for now.